Good morning, everyone. Well, we've come to the end of our Back to Blessed Basics month. A little oddly this year. Normally, we've got 4 weeks in January, and those correspond to the first four sections of Science of Mind, and everything goes together just perfectly. This year, we've got 5 weeks in January. And so we've got our 4 weeks consumed, and then we got this extra week dangling off at the end. What do we do with that? What do we do now? And that's a great question, isn't it? What do we do now? Now that we've established that there's a eternal power of good in the universe and that expresses itself through us and what we believe. And we know the mechanism by which we can change our beliefs, like through affirmative prayer or meditation or intention or affirmation, etc. So we have all of this knowledge. What do we do now? Well, one way to look at the previous 4 weeks is to look at it like a love story. And it's a beautiful love story about God's love of its creation, us among those, and our imagined separation from God, and our blessed reunion. It's got all the elements. So, does this story have a happy ending? I would say yes. Of course it does. We are joined together with God forever. That sounds like a happy ending to me. And so what do we have at the end of a happy love story? Well, they lived happily ever after, right? It seems like it's the only thing that's left to do is to just be happy. We've gotten some great news this month. Every week, we're hearing more about how we're connected, how there's an infinite power for good. This is all good news. And our connection to God can never be broken. So when we say happily ever after, we mean ever after. But sometimes this doesn't jive in our minds because we all know how fleeting happiness can be, how seemingly fleeting it can be. It's here today. It's gone tomorrow. Today, I feel happy. Tomorrow, I'm not happy. So it's here and gone. But we also have this promise of happiness ever after. How might that be achieved on this roller coaster ride of happiness? But we do believe in a forever happiness. I mean, it's baked right into the principles that we declare in Ernest Holmes' Declaration of Principles. He said, we believe in the freedom from all discord. Freedom from all discord. That sounds pretty happy to me. So we know that there's a potential for a happiness the likes of which we may have never experienced before, a constant state of happiness. So ever after means forever. And in forever, there are no lapses in forever. There are no exceptions in forever. There is no time when forever is not in effect. Okay, so let's look at what happiness is. And in the sacred reading, it defined happiness perfectly. I'm gonna shorten that definition down to happiness being a state of well-being or contentment. Now, that's interesting because usually when I mention the word happy, or I think of the word happy, I'm thinking happy. Picture, I don't know if you've ever seen this, but Oprah Winfrey famously gave a car to all of her to all the people that were in the studio for her show, her studio audience. And there's a famous GIF out there with Oprah proclaiming, "You all have cars." And then they cut away and they look at all the people that have just received the cars. And boy, do you see happy? People are yelling, screaming, rolling in the aisles, crying. It's absolute joy. So that is kind of what I think about when I think happy. I think, ecstatic. But going back to the definition, happiness is a state of well-being or contentment. So sometimes happy is happy, and sometimes happy is, I'm happy. Just content. So there's all kinds of levels to this. So do we have control over our individual happiness? And absolutely we do. Absolutely we do. We just spent the last 4 weeks explaining how much control we actually have over our lives, how much control we actually have over what we think and what we believe, and how those thoughts and beliefs affect what we experience. So happiness, let's unpack happiness a little bit, because I used to think of happiness and my connection to it as kind of like a combination lock. I got a combination lock inside of me. And when I see a combination of conditions in my outer world, that signals to me I can get happy. If I go back to my childhood, if I got a new bike, my eyes, they see a new bike. The conditions for happiness have been met at that point. I unlock my happiness, my joy lock, and I am happy. I get my bike, I ride it up and down the street, and it's great fun. So that is happiness. But the combination that unlocked the happiness within me was my new bike. So I need that new bike to be happy. Unfortunately, new bikes never stay new. Sometimes they just become your bike. And then eventually they become your old bike. And happiness decreases at each of those junctures. None of those phases of your bike make you as happy as it did when it was in that new bike phase. So that's kind of the problem with having a combination lock on your happiness, is once you unlock it, great. But then the combination changes and it gets locked up again. And then we got to find that new combination to unlock a happiness. And that is really how I kind of lived my life, kind of leaping from happiness to happiness, trying to avoid unhappiness and really going for it and enjoying the happiness. So the happiness is like kind of spotty. Sometimes it's here, sometimes it's not. And that's not really the ever after that we're after. So how do we use our unbreakable connection to God to bring us an everlasting joy and happiness? Well, for that, we're going to talk a little bit about intention. We're going to pull one of our tools out of our tool bag. And the tool we're going to talk about today is intention. And did anyone, and I'm looking for a show of hands now. Did anyone do the happiness or the intention homework from last week? Did anybody do that? Okay, I'm looking out there. If you did, I did it. I did it because I wanted to see it work in my life, and I have initiatives that I'm working on that I need some help with. I need some help pushing through some barriers that I have. So I use this intention experiment to do that. And I had very interesting results. I started with little things that I see every day that I needed to get done. For example, my closet door's got one of those mirrored sliders on the closet door. It was off the track. I've been struggling through it, just kind of pushing it here and there. It doesn't roll smooth, but I've just been living with it, and I haven't fixed it. And every time I open up the closet, I think to myself, I'm going to fix that. And then I get what I'm going to get out of the closet. I struggle and close the closet door again. And as I'm struggling to close it, I'm like, yeah, I'm coming back. I'm fixing that as soon as I can. And then I go get dressed and of course, forget about it. Now I don't fix it. Well, for me, this lasts for weeks, months, dealing with this and not fixing it. Well, I put down on my intentions, I'm fixing that closet door. And so I had this full on mission to fix that door. This is just one intention. So I wrote it down, I'm fixing the door. And then throughout the day, I would look down at my list and I would see, okay, I agreed to fix the door. And so eventually I would get myself up and I said, okay, well, it's time to fix the door. I said that's what I was going to do. I intended it. I know that I have the power of Spirit behind me, helping me in every step of the way. So I can't say I can't. The only thing I can do is step into my intention, and step into it I did. I went to my closet, got my flashlight out, got down on my hands and knees, started looking at the tracks, adjusting wheels, and I was working on that sucker. And happily, I can report that the closet door is fixed now. Yay, through the power of intention. And it seems like, okay, Dave, you fix your closet door, big deal. But it was something that I wanted to do. It's something that I needed to do, but it's something that I found so easy to just put off. And my intention brought it to the foreground. Having that intention brought it to the foreground and let me know, yes, this is what you want to do. Yes, this is what you're doing. And yes, God's going to help you do it. And every time I try to talk myself out of it, because there were times when I thought, I don't have time today. Maybe I'll get to that tomorrow. I found that I held myself accountable to always move in the direction of my intention. Why am I going to move myself away from what I want, away from what I declared? I'm always going to move myself into that direction, because if I don't, I'm fighting against myself. Why do I want to do that? So I also found that I wanted to honor the intention. I wanted to honor it by moving towards it, by not working against it. Okay, every time I got the notion to put it off, I remembered that's not what I'm doing here. That's not what this is all about, of putting this off. This is about doing. So the intention became a powerful mechanism for getting things done. So eventually I would put more and more difficult things on. Throughout the week, I would make different lists about different intentions that I had for the day. I walk around the house, I see something that needs to be done. I'm like, I'm going to intend to do that. And then I go and I write it down. And then boom, oh boy, I've written it down. I'm accountable. This is something I know I can do, something I know I need to do. And so I'm doing it. It's a really interesting thing. And so I encourage you to write down some intentions and see if they have a similar effect on you. But there's a caution, and I'm bringing us back around to happiness. But there's a caution that I've got to warn you about using your power of intention. And that is the not. Okay? Be careful about setting an intention not to do something. Because when you set the intention not to do, God says what? Yes, you are not going to do that. And you might think, well, that's a good thing. I said I'm not going to do it. God's helping me not do it. Well, there is a wide variety of things that can fill the not. Let's take, for example, if you want to stop drinking and you want to say to yourself, hey, look, I'm going to use my power of intention not to drink. So my intention is I am not going to drink. And that's all well and good. But there are levels to this. There is a spectrum of not. On one side of the spectrum, you've got, I'm not drinking. Just chilling, you're watching TV, you're content, and you're okay. The other side of that spectrum is, I'm not drinking. We call that the white knuckling. I'm not drinking. I'm not. Where everything in your body is calling out for it, but you're like, I'm not. And you're just barely hanging on to the intention not to drink. And that still means that God is coming through for you because you intended not to drink. And while you are suffering by not drinking, that's what you're getting is the not. So I don't want to give God this huge playing field when it comes to this. I want to be very specific about what I intend. So rather than intending a not, let's turn that around and say, okay, well, I intend to know that I have a loving community that is around me, that is supporting me, that wants nothing but the best for me. I intend to know this at every turn. I intend to ask for help when I need it. That shortens, that narrows that playing field that God has. And that means when I want to take a drink, when I want to do something that is not right for me, I know that I have help. I know that I can reach out and get divine assistance, get actual friendship assistance. I can get assistance from the universe in many different ways in order to reach out for help when I need it. And if that is your intention, then we don't have to worry about what we're not doing. We don't have to waste our energy worried about not doing something. We just have to live in that truth, in that intention that we're knowing that I know if things get rough, I know that I am going to reach out for help. That is what I'm going to do. So that is how we can creatively, positively use our intentions to bring about our good. So as we loop back around to happiness, how does this apply to happiness? Well, we don't just intend to be happy. Let us intend to know that we have everything that we need right now to be happy. We have all the elements within us and around us to equate to happiness. We have an undying support, an unyielding support from God. We have our community. We have CSL Davis. We have practitioners to help us reinforce this knowing in our lives when we need to know. When we need to know what to be happy about. Our practitioners can help us narrow the focus of God and help us look at what is actually going to bring us happiness and bring us that base level of wellness and contentment in our lives. And let us know that that too is happiness. So that leads us to today's homework. And it's really, really simple. And it's very similar to last week's homework. It's with intention, but this is the intention to be aware of our present happiness. Be aware of the blessed being that you are. Be aware that whatever you do, whatever you want to do in your life, whatever you want to see in your life, you can partner with God and you can know and believe that into existence. Know these things. Practice knowing. And have the intent of knowing that you are already happy. So, with all of these things, the fundamental thing to remember is that God is with you always. Always, always, always. So, let's just recap. We have established our connection. We know how to communicate with God and how to manifest in our lives. We know how to be happy. And we can go into that with the intention of just affirming everything that we've got right now. And everything that we've got right now to help us achieve whatever we want to achieve. God says yes, yes, yes. And let us honor our intentions by making the intention and not canceling it out later. So you make the intention that you are connected to God. And then later on in the day, you may think, oh, I'm alone. Oh, I got to do this. I've got to do this by myself. No. You just declared that you're going to know that you're always connected to God and God is always assisting you. So we can't turn around and affirm the opposite of that. We must always remember what our intentions are and always moving in the direction of them with the help and assistance of God at all times. So let us take that into prayer.